So yeah, we are the question sections, and then we repeated what we did the previous week. So if you didn't watch the previous week, you can go back to it to catch up on the question we are asking. So Mr. Ayeni asked the question that okay, how can translators and machine learning engineers collaborate? And I answered that by preparing the parallel corpora for the machine engineer to work on. What is a parallel corpora? A parallel corpora is a corpora that contains at least two languages, English and Yoruba, for example. And then how do they do it? They either tokenize it by mapping the two words that look alike together, or they use statistics called naive Bayes analysis. But I don't want to go too deep into that because I actually I've worked as a machine learning engineer, even though I'm a linguist by training. All right. So somebody asked a question for these annotation types listed. Can non-linguists catch up easily? And that is why we are having this training. I have made this training as simple as possible so that anybody that has a native language can work on their languages. And that is why I'm not introducing anything coding here. So instead of us to actually code, what we are going to be doing is that we're going to be using linguistic softwares to do the coding. So there are different linguistic software that have been designed by linguists to catch up with AI. So there you are not coding, you are just using the software, just like how you learn how to use WhatsApp. Once you can learn how to do this software, I bet you can. Like you can do text analysis, you can create data set, you can know the types and tokens in the data set. You can even do machine translation using translation memory of the data set. So you can plug in your model. I think the amount open model can be, I think it's around $2 or so per usage. So you can plug in a model on your translation memory and then it translates for you automatically. So these are software we'll be looking at, and the first one is Pratt, and the second one is Elan. I can talk about Omega T because I really love Omega T because you can plug in external API on it, and it's very easy and sweet for me. You can use there is a platform called Sam Joshua. There is Joshua platform. There is on Joshua platform you can plug in and then you can go back. It's very easy. Only if you have a little bit of programming knowledge, but we will not do that in this question. Now, Mr. Babatunde Pokuola, you raised your hand. Can we have your question, sir? Did I answer your question, Oyekachi, please? Before we hear, uh,
Yes, you did. You answered the question.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. Mr. Babatunde Pokuola, I hope I called that right. Can
Okay,
we?
I'm very sorry. I'm on a transit. I very soon I will highlight, so you hear me clearly. I don't know if you are hearing me now. Let me just
Yes, we can
manage
hear
to
you. We can hear you loud and clear.
All right, that's fine.
Yes.
My question comes from the one my Oga just had, Mr. Shino, about how we can bridge the gap between um, translators. Excuse me, am I lighting now, please? I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, sir. Oh, yeah. Baba. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. So my question now is about the question now that how can we translators be supportive to artificial intelligence, and how can you guys in the other side help to be translators? And just like your answer, you said the only way we can help, or one of the way we can help, is by supplying data, supplying translation that will be very useful for your own work. Now, my question is this: how do we manage different views from different scholars? Just like the example you cited now, Son Yalo from Son Yalo. Some linguists, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as what we are taught in the university, some scholars believe that what the effect and what caused the change in Sanya law to Sanya law is it can only be explained morphologically. Whereas some people say that it is out of syntax, that Sanya law is from Sanya O law.
I don't syllable. I won't use arguments. I don't syllable.
All right. So, and I want to believe, yes, there are some scholars or some translators that we see things that way, because we also have cases like that in English. When you say go, there is a subject in go. The subject is not just over. So in that case, when we have translators like that believe that it is that way, and some other translators believe it is this way, So how do we manage that? That is my question.
Yes. Thank you so much for that question, Mr. Babatunde. Yeah, the language is not just spoken. Language is an agreed knowledge. You see, one problem we have about language is I believe so much about Chomsky's assertion that we learn competence, that we learn the knowledge of language. So language is not just spoken or used. Language is an agreed knowledge. Like we agree to say, for example, in Hausa, they call uh, meat like beef. They call it nama. So anybody that called Nama knows that it's Nama, like it's Nama. And we are not just using that just for using sake, but because we all agree to call it like that. So you ask yourself, how did we come about agreeing, for example, to call tree Igi in Yoruba, or to call head Isi in Igbo? Right. So it's not just spoken, but agreed. Now, why did I come from that angle? I come from that angle because we would tell machine what it will learn. The issue of high tone syllable by Awopuli making it syntax driven, I personally do not agree with the stance. I agree with Awopuli on high tone syllable. I don't agree with the stance that says Sanya Olo. No, no, no. That is more like can we have, yeah, I read different papers that support that. But the question is, we don't really have to go really complex with machine for machine to learn. We just have to explain whether it is Sanya law or Sanya law. The basic idea is that which is the high tone there is introduced because Sanya is a low tone word. It's not a low high tone word. So whether we see it as Sanyaholo or we see it as Sanyalo, then what is sure is that Sanya has changed its form from the canonical form of Sanya, which is a low word, to a low high tone word, which is what I would say it's paramount, and that is what machine will learn. So whether you are syntactically treating it or you are morphologically treating it, either way you are treating it, what is sure is machine is going to learn another form of Sanya, which is not the one you are when the word is independent of the construction. So machine would only learn on our agreed knowledge. Sometimes you are doing annotation and you enter into problematic situations where you have to just take decisions. Those decisions may not be perfect in terms of representing the language, but that could just be the data you are working with. Sometimes the data is not representative enough. Sometimes the data is problematic because you can have problematic data. It's so noisy that you don't have any other choice that you just manage your way through, especially if you're dealing with a difficult client. So that is what I can say about that. I hope I answered your question a bit.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome. Do we have other questions? All right, we have taken a lot of time, so I will just quickly, instead of doing Pratt annotation, I'm going to do Elan annotation. So next week, I'm going to repeat Pratt annotation, right? So where is Elan? I'm trying to search for Elan. So if you can see my screen, Elan, blank space, Elan, just can you let me know?
We can.
Okay. So yeah, this is Elan. Right. So today we'll be doing a text series time-aligned annotation. So this is Elan, and Elan is used for, you can either do video, audio annotation. So where you have the video, you have the audio of the video, then you map everything together into tiers. So to start using Elan for annotation, you go to File, you create New. It's gonna load. So what new means there is that you are trying to start your annotation from the beginning. And it's going to open this pane you are seeing here. Now, this pane simply means that you have the first pane you are seeing. It's where you see look in here, it's your access to your laptop, where you will pick the video, the audio, anything you're going to pick from your laptop to use in Elan is here. Now, the pane that is smaller, that is selected files, is where Elan is. So you see this arrow you see here, it's where you have to send your file into. So you have to send your file from your laptop to Elan, basically. So I'm going to select an audio file. So we'll do audio annotation before, if we have time, we can do video annotation. So now, I am assuming maybe we want to do, want to create a parallel corpus, like as translators, you are trying to create a parallel corpus from audio data, for example. So I'm going to pick my audio data. I'm going to send it to Elan. You see it appearing there, right? Now you see this part called template. Elan works by template. Template, what is a template? A template is an established TS that you have been using for other projects. For example, if you are recording Yoruba English dataset, and then you recorded like 60 hours, you will not record it at once, right? You have to record different files. Now, those different files are the same annotation, but different audio files. So for that, you can create a template that you will use for the same thing throughout the annotation, because you don't want to keep building the annotation guide, the tiers and the types each time you annotate the same thing, because you're technically interested in the same thing but different audios. So for now, because I'm assuming we don't have a template, I will show how to create a template. But for now, we don't have a template. We just select the audio file and then we click OK. So it's going to initialize and come up. It's loading. Yes. So you see here, I may not be able to explain all the controls, but what we need for annotation, at least to get started, is what I will explain. Now, we have type, then we have tier. What is a type? I explained in second audio that a type is a unique word in the data set. And I said a token is the total number of words, the size of the data set. So because NLP practitioners want to know the shape of the data, when they say the shape of the data, they're talking about the type and the tokens. Now the type is related here, but in this context, type refers to the level of linguistics you are dealing with in terms of the syntactic level. Now it can be word, it can be morpheme, it can be sentence. Now the tier refers to where you want to type your annotation. It's where you annotate, like the upstairs, like the staircase for the type. So to start annotating, you must create your type first before you create your tier. Why? You need a type before you can have a tier for the type. Like you need a building before you can create a staircase for the building, yeah, in that context. So we're gonna create the building now. So we'll go to add new tier. So now here we have tier type name. So I'm gonna assume we are building a translation data set. So in this case now we're building a speech parallel corpora, right? Where you have English, and this language I'm working on here is OPA language, and it's a data set I collected for my own personal project, right? So in OPA, we have English and we have the OPA. So you can have the audio data set, time aligned with texture data set, and you can export the data set without issue. So if you need the audio plus the text, you have it. If you need the text alone, you have it. And then if you import a video, you would have everything too. But for this first time, I'm going to just be showing you how to do the textual annotation. So what is a type? We're going to give it a name type. Let me say I want to talk about phrases in it. Okay, first, if we are dealing with machine translation, so we are preparing a corpora, speech-to-speech translation or text-to-speech annotation. This is what Elan would do. Now, I want to have Ope, you know, there's the language I'm working on. Also, I want to have English. I want to have English as the type. So the stereo, now here, there's something called stereotype. You know what stereotype means? What you are known for. It's somehow negative, like Nigerians shout. Some people, many people believe that Nigerians know how to shout, they express themselves, they're not introverts, stuff like that. That's a stereotype, right? So in this context, stereotype means that what relationship is this type having with other types? And then because this is a type that we are just creating, we assume it is the first one and we are not having any issue with it. And then why did I create English first? I create English first because that is my source. Remember, we have in translation, we have the source language and the target language. Please, I am taking an example of annotation here as if you are a translator trying to build textual data set from speech so that you can have speech-to-speech annotation and text-to-text annotation. Sorry, speech-to-speech translation and text-to-text translation. So here, we're going to click OK. Now, we want to create a type for OPE language. OPE, some can say OPE target, you can call it target language. You can label it anyhow. Now, this time around, we're going to be using a stereotype. Now, I want to explain what this stereotype means. The types of division simply means that the type that you have earlier, that you have earlier, the attribute you want this stereotype to have is it will be time subdivided. So the time series alone will be subdivided. Now, included in means it is in it. For example, if you are annotating and then you notice that the person you are recording from begins to mix Okwe and Igbo together, right? So you're gonna create Igbo is mixing Okwe and Igbo, right? So, and the language you're working on is Okwe. You're gonna create an included in type where you have Igbo. So you want to choose only the portion that has the Igbo so that you can analyze it later. Now, symbolic subdivision means symbolic, you know, I said it is sound grapheme mapping, symbol and sound mapping. Now, symbolic subdivision means it is subdivided. Now, how do you understand symbolic subdivision? Symbolic subdivision means that you subdivided a content. For example, if you have the English translation, and then you want to break that English translation as a sentence into phrases, into words, then you will pick symbolic subdivision. So the type you are creating now is a subdivision of English. So when you have the English sentence, you are breaking it down to phrases, words. This is what we call subdivision. Now, symbolic association means you have two forms, independent of each other but related. You are associating them together. And this is what machine does too in NLP. It's going to associate one word to the other word. Say, okay, Sanya is in English is the same Sanya here. Law here is the same as went here. And it's going to correlate them. That is association. Now, what we're going to choose here is symbolic association. Why? Ope is the target, English is the source, but you have the same form. So if you have the English associated with the Ope version. I hope that is clear a bit. So I'm going to click add. So because we are targeting machine translation, we're going to click close. Why? We are dealing with just two languages at this point. So we want to create, if you look at this point, we have the default here, this red thing you are seeing here. It's not annotated, it's not changing. We only have the type. We've not created the tiers, so they are not showing here. Now, we want to go back to tier, add new tier. So this time around, what we are going to try is that we're going to be creating we can call it translation, a source, a source language en to mean English. Participant, that's the person that is talking. I'm going to say is Samuel. The annotator is Samuel. So the parent tier, now let me explain parent-child relationship. Now, what is a parent tier? A parent tier is a tier that gives birth. So in a case where we have the subdivision, it means that if you are subdividing the English tier type, you're gonna make it, and you want to have a tier for the words. You want to have a tier for the phrases. You want to have a tier for the morpheme. And in fact, you can even have a tier for the phoneme. This is where you will create it. So you make the English source test the parent of these phrases, words, and sentences, phrases, words, morpheme, and phoneme. But in this case, since this is the source, we don't have any parent tier for it. So we're gonna pick what is the tier type now? That is English in it. So we're gonna click Add. So we're gonna add the tier. You can see that the source language here is showing by the left corner here, which is the source language. So I'm gonna create that for Pope where I can say a hyphen target hyphen language hyphen open. Let's say open. Open. I can say participant, I'm maintaining somewhere, annotator, I'm maintaining somewhere. Now, parent here now, yeah. So this one is gonna be the child of this in terms of tier, not in terms of type. Now, immediately I make this the tier type, you see, it automatically, immediately I make this the parent, it automatically pick this as a tier type. Right. So I'm gonna click Add. So voila, we are done creating our translation. Now we have the default tier, which we don't need. So we can go back to tier, change tier type attribute. So we can click delete here. Then we can select the default tier and then click delete because we don't need it. We want to delete it. Yes. And then we click close. Now, what we have is we have the source language and the target language. So let's assume the person gives the English here. I want to annotate it. So yeah, I'm assuming please, law. Then after you annotated that, the equivalent will be downwards, right? So let's say it says it here, you double click inside, you double click the inside again, you say, so yeah. No, sorry. I want to say Sonya went, and then the person is giving the Yoruba here, Sonya law. So this is how we do for everything. I am Samuel. Now the person said the Yoruba equivalent here. I click this. So how do you select? You double tap, you drag. So when you select, how do you annotate inside it? You double tap the portion you selected. So you double tap against the tier. So here I can say, I'm just using this as an example. So yeah, this is what you find. Now, in fact, to make it easier for you, you don't necessarily have to do the target language in this annotation mode. No, there are different modes in Elan that makes it easier for you to build your data set. We have the annotation mode, we have the transcription mode, we have the segmentation mode, and we have the interlinearization mode. So what is the annotation mode? The annotation mode is here. You can see it. The segmentation mode is where you just want to segment. Here you are not annotating. You can just play. How do you play? You use Control plus space. Control plus space. How do you play the portion you selected? Shift plus space. Shift for place. You can pause and play, Control plus space, pause and play. So you can, how do you select? When you pause, when you play, Control space, then you hit enter from where you start hearing. You hit enter again from where you stop hearing. Let me give you an example. When I play now, I'm going to select from here to this place. I'll do this, then I'll do this. I start hearing him again, then I'll do this. Then I'll pause. I can do that and segment my data set. Now, I can go back to annotation mode. You see, now we have so this is the annotation modes that we have. We've done the segmentation mode now. So that it can be easier for you to annotate, you can decide to segment just the source portion and then change it to transcription mode. It's going to load. So what are you doing in transcription mode? You are trying to focus on the tier per time. So I don't know why it's not loading. It's supposed to load. So I'm going to go back to transcription mode. Yeah. So this is the pane. Now I want to select the English. Now I want to select the open. Then I will click apply. You see that? So here you are trying to put the equivalent of this in this, the equivalent of this in this, the equivalent of this, and back and forth. That's what we are doing here. So it's very easy here because it is difficult to type orthographically in Elan. So what you do is once you change to this mode, you go to your Word document, you use combined characteristics or whatever IPA you want to do. Then you create shortcut keys for them. You type what you want to type in a Word document, then you paste them here. So once you are done annotating, how can you export this for your client? You can go to export and then export as tab delimited text. Once you click that, it's going to export the annotation as a TTX file, TXT file, sorry. And that TXT file is, of course, what you can share with your client. Then you click OK. So what do you want to title it? I can title it Samuel Online Class. Then I can click Save. I can retrieve it when I'm done as a plain text, then copy it into a Excel sheet and share with my client. Voila, I have created an annotation data, a parallel corporate data set. Now, how can I create my own template? Remember I said that in the beginning, we need a template. So once you've created this kind of tier and their types, you want to save them for future usage, you just click here, save as template, and it will save as template automatically. This is just a basic introduction to Elan. So if you have questions, can I answer your questions now before we call it a day? Okay. I need to stress something here. When you are building a parallel corpora, another way you can, if you are not interested in having the speech-to-speech annotation, what you can do, and what I do most of the time is, I would listen to the English. What format should the whole work be exported in? TXT file. I think I showed that. To export it, you go to export as TXT file. This is it. It's going to be TXT file or interlinear text. Anyhow you want, but I think I do TXT file. I copy it on TXT file and put it in an Excel sheet so that I can have English and the target language. So I was trying to explain that what we do in linguistics is we're gonna listen to the source language. I think you have to pay attention. Then we work on the target. We work on the translation first, but we are going to be selecting the target language. For example, if I am working on OPE language, I am interested in building the dataset for OPE. I am not interested in building the dataset for English. So this time around, I'm going to be selecting I will hear two voices, right? I will hear the English, then I will hear the Yoruba version. The English, the Yoruba version. I will select the Yoruba voice. Then I'm going to type what I heard in English in that portion of voice of Open. And why is this important? This is important because you can use to build the data set even in a language you don't speak. Like Open, I built the data set for Open and then I didn't speak Open. And I don't have to speak it from a linguistic point of view. I just have to work on it as a linguist using my IPA chart. So in the case of building that kind of data set for a language that you don't speak, you can create a tier called transcription tier. That way you're going to use phonetic transcription, then you put it in orthography when you are done. All right. I hope I did a bit. So let me know if you have questions. Questions? Questions.
Hello, sir. I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, your last explanation, I didn't get it very well. You said when we are giving a file to annotate an audio file, and it has two languages, let's say English and Yoruba. So if we are to annotate, we should do what on the Yoruba? We should annotate. I didn't get
The
that
voice,
section.
you will select the voice of Yoruba, but you will type in the English first. For example, you know, when the person is speaking, if you are building a monolingual data set, you will hear the voice of English and the voice of Yoruba. Now, because you don't speak Yoruba, for example, you can be able to target. I will do that. You can be able to target the language. So when you are playing the audio, you will hear the English. The English is going to guide you to the Yoruba. Now, so because you don't speak the language, you don't know when the person stops talking. So you use your discretion. For the start, you hear the English, you know where the English stop. Then you hear that language which you don't know. You hear it stop. You hear English again. What does that mean? That means that before that English that you're hearing for the second time is where the annotation stops. After that English you hear for the first time is where the annotation starts. So you select from that range. So when you select that portion, then you go to the translation tier. You double tap it, and then you translate first. That's you write what you heard in English first, before you now change it to transcription mode, where you can now add the language using transcription, if it is a language you are not familiar with. So they ask a question. Remind me where this type of annotation is applied for building a speech to text like in text. Yes, it applies in time series annotation. It applies in text to speech time align annotation. It applies in speech to text time align annotation. And then it even apply in text to speech annotation. That is if you are building a parallel opera. And even with the fact that you are building a target data set, that's for one language, you can still export the two tier where you have the English first, then you have the language second. But this way, the audio is not useful for you. It is only the text that you can be able to export. But in the way I've selected them like this, then both the audio and the speech and the text can be extracted. Okay, thank you. Do we have other questions?
Yes, sir. This isn't still clear to me. Yes. Okay, so you said we should select a portion of the Yoruba portion, and then type in the
on the
English.
English, yes.
On the translation tier, okay.
Yes. You will be typing the English equivalent of the Yoruba that you selected.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Do we have other questions? The time is gone. We just have this class in an hour shoot. It's usually an hour-long discussion. If you have questions, let me know. So next week, I'm going to go over Pratt for speech-to-text annotation. Then I'm going to talk about how to do video, audio, time and line annotation. That is, if you are dealing with a sign language, that's the same way you would annotate it. So, yeah, so do we have other questions? Do we have people with questions? Yeah, I'm seeing the chat. Yes, I would share the recording are you in the WhatsApp group? I will upload it and share the recording. Definitely. Oh, you are not on the WhatsApp group. Can somebody, I'm gonna put the I'm gonna create the link and then I'm gonna share it. Can somebody help me type it in the chat? Like, Favor, can you do that for me? I'm gonna be sharing I'm gonna be sharing it on WhatsApp on the group, and I want somebody to paste it in the chat.
Okay, fine, sir.
Yes, I did that now. Can you share in the chat? Oh, you're welcome
Okay.
from Cameroon, Bamenda, Cameroon. That's good. We're happy to have you. Juliet, pardon me, I don't know, Tasama.
Yes, sir, it's Tasama.
Tasama, what language do you speak?
I speak Mungaka.
Hey, that's interesting.
Yes,
We
sir.
would love to be the leader of Ungaka, don't we?
Good to meet everyone.
Yeah, so that's the WhatsApp chat. You can chat me up on the group admin, so we can see how we can work. So yeah, I'll be dropping an assignment for us to record, but I'm not sure we've known enough to record an annotation so that I don't stretch us too much. So I think after next week class, we're gonna be having a project to work on your language. You'll be the data set for your language, your own language. And I mean your language, yeah. So yeah, Juliet, you can join the WhatsApp using the link that Favor shared. So if you are not on the WhatsApp chat, you can join this link with this link. In the absence of no other questions, let's call it a day. So bye-bye, everyone. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.